Good evening and welcome to the programme.
Coming up tonight. On the day, a former West Yorkshire police detective is in court for sexual offences. We hear from a survivor of domestic abuse who was also taken advantage of by a serving officer.
Still living with nightmares. I'm still living with panic attacks. Scared of leaving my home in case I bump into him. I know that he doesn't know where I am, but there's still that off chance of he could be anywhere.
5 years on from the murder of York woman Sarah Everard, we look into whether anything has improved when it comes to violence against women and girls.
Also on the programme. As new paternity leave laws come into force, one Harrogate father shares how current rules denied him any paid leave.
And David Attenborough once called it the Cathedral of Nature Conservation. Yorkshire Wildlife Trust fights to restore and protect its first ever reserve.
But first, it was a grotesque betrayal of trust. The words of a judge to a former police officer who tonight is in prison after abusing his position.
Patrick Banks, who served with West Yorkshire Police, was jailed for 3 years for trying to befriend two vulnerable women and sexually assaulting one of them.
Well, Lisa Adlam has been at Sheffield Crown Court, where Banks was sentenced. And Lisa, the court heard how his position in the force made his crimes even more deplorable.
Yes, we did, Michael, and that's because Patrick Banks was a detective working within West Yorkshire Police's adult safeguarding unit, designed to investigate and support the victims of sexual crimes when he targeted these two women. The 42-year-old, who'd been an officer since 2019, was supposed to help them. Both of them were highly vulnerable, but on separate occasions in 2024 and 2025, he bombarded them with WhatsApp messages, some of which were sexual in nature. He visited them while he was off duty at their homes, and in the case of one of the women, who was known in court as Woman B, he touched her sexually and he tried to kiss her. Now, Patrick Banks pleaded guilty at a previous hearing to 2 counts of misconduct in a public office and 1 of sexual assault. And sentencing him to 3 years, Judge Jeremy Richardson KC said he had been unhampered by scruples of any kind.
You have betrayed every ounce of trust invested in you as a police officer by doing as you did. This was not a matter of police discipline. You committed very serious crimes in your capacity as a police officer.
Well, bravely, Woman B came to court today to read a statement about the impact and the damage it had caused to her. She said, "What revolts me is that the man who was supposed to help us took advantage of our vulnerability." She said it had destroyed her trust in people in authority, and that's something that the judge said made Banks's crimes so very serious.
It must be made very clear that any police officer who betrays the trust reposed in him or her and misconducts himself or herself whilst in that position of immense responsibility must expect to be punished.
And Lisa, how have West Yorkshire Police responded to this?
Well, Lara, they've released a statement this evening in which they call Patrick Banks's crimes abhorrent, and they say that he was suspended immediately when the complaints against him were first made. And they also say they hope it will show victims of sexual crimes that they will be listened to and that action will be taken swiftly, no matter the perpetrator.
OK, Lisa Adam live for us at Sheffield Crown Court this evening. Thank you.
Well, sadly, cases like this aren't new. A survivor of domestic abuse from Leeds, who was taken advantage of by the police officer sent to help her, is now calling for better protection for women.
Shannon Mulhall, who has waived her right to anonymity, says more needs to be done to prevent officers from abusing their authority. Her complaint against former PC Simon Miller at Humberside Police saw him jailed for 28 months.
It comes in the wake of the 5th anniversary of Sarah Everard's murder by serving police officer Wayne Cousins. Miriam Hyde went to meet Shannon.
I was in a graveyard basically saying I want to commit suicide because I had nothing left. That's how I felt. It was PC Simon Miller who came to me. He was the one that approached me. Turns out he wasn't the police officer that should have been there that day.
In 2021, Shannon Mulhall was at her lowest. Having just escaped an abusive relationship and feeling suicidal, she called the police for help. It was a call she thought would save her life. But instead of providing the support she desperately needed, the attending Humberside officer, Simon Miller, abused his position while collecting Shannon from a woman's refuge.
I went in the living room to grab my bag, and as I come back out and go into the bedroom, he was already naked, completely naked. I was like, what are you doing? What's going on? And then he started approaching me and I just didn't know what to do, I just froze.
He then turned off his police radio and camera and had sex with her. After she found the strength to report him, in November 2023, Miller was sentenced to 28 months in prison at Hull Crown Court. He was due to be released last month, but authorities have not given Shannon any information about this.
I'm still living with nightmares. I'm still living with panic attacks. Scared of leaving my home in case I bump into him. I know that he doesn't know where I am, but there's still that off chance of he could be anywhere. He ruined any trust I've got with anybody in uniform.
But Shannon's story is far from unique. Across the 5 forces in the Calendar region since 2021, there have been 47 referrals to the Independent Office for Police Conduct regarding abuse of power for a sexual purpose. Nationwide, that figure rises to nearly 500 cases, approximately 100 a year. And Shannon's lawyer, who specialises in police misconduct cases, says this needs to change.
And I've been practicing for 25 years now, and there is a significant amount of cases coming forward like this, which simply shouldn't happen. In this modern age where we can utilise, for instance, technology, vetting can be done a lot better, and despite all of that, we still have these high number of reports.
Shannon's case happened within months of another, which shocked the nation. The murder of Sarah Everard, who was from York, saw an outpouring of both grief but also anger that a serving police officer could abuse his power to rape and murder a young woman. Wayne Cousins had used his police ID and handcuffs to lure her into his car.
Do you know Sarah? I don't know. Okay.
It was a case that cast a long shadow over British policing. And for Shannon, it had an even greater impact.
It was a few days after what happened with me, with Simon, that I saw Sarah's story and I cried. I was like, I need to speak for her now, in the sense of, this has happened to me. Oh, the officer's doing this. Poor Sarah didn't have a voice then. Maybe if I come forward, I can stop another officer doing the same. Despite the promises of reform following the Everard case, Shannon believes police culture remains broken. Nothing's changed. What are they doing to protect people? Because these officers are meant to be protecting the public. Well, they're not protecting the public because they're not getting rented, they're not getting checked, they're not getting looked into properly enough. But she's determined her voice and those of others will be heard. I'm still here, I'm still fighting, I'm still living my life. He won't take that away from me. He took my innocence back then, but he won't take it now, and he's not going to get away with it, and neither is any other officer. So if it takes me to come forward to help others, then that's what I'm going to do.
So brave of Shannon to waive her anonymity and share her story, and we're incredibly grateful to her. Well, Miriam's in the studio with us now. Some shocking detail in your report there. What have Humberside Police had to say?
Well, at the time, Humberside Police described Miller's actions as utterly reprehensible, saying that such behaviour undermines public confidence in policing and brings the entire profession into disrepute. The force further encouraged anyone who believes they've been a victim to similar offences to come forward and report them.
And what has the regulator had to say about this, Miriam?
Well, national vetting standards are overseen by the National Police Chiefs Council for all forces across the country. And while they declined to provide a statement on this specific case, they noted that since the recommendations issued in February 2024, that forces have implemented stricter protocols and database checks when it comes to screening officers. However, vetting is only half the battle. The other half is opportunity. Even vetted officers operate within a system that grants them immense power that can be weaponised against the vulnerable.
Many tell us that they are really intimidated when they're reporting really serious and personal things if there's a male police officer on their own. Not all male police officers are going to abuse somebody, obviously, but they have that opportunity, and it's making sure that those opportunities aren't there and that women feel safe.
Well, unfortunately, many, like Shannon, continue to feel unsafe, and a shift in policy just feels too little too late. And the technology and the will to use it are finally there, but it comes after years of public trust being severely eroded.
Okay, Miriam, thanks very much indeed. Well, if you've been affected by anything in Miriam's report, then there's plenty of advice and support over on our website. Just go to itv.com/calendar.
You're watching Calendar, still to come. We're in Scunthorpe, meeting those following in the footsteps of the England Roses 6 months on from their World Cup win.
And your gardens are really starting to look full of the joys of spring, but can I say the same for the forecast as we head through into the long weekend? All the detail a little later on.
OK, let's get some news in brief. And detectives believe the murder of a 16-year-old girl in Leeds could have been filmed and shared on social media. Officers found the body of Chloe Watson-Dransfield on Kennelly Avenue in Alsthorpe in the early hours of Saturday. West Yorkshire Police says the incident may have been captured on a mobile phone and is now circulating online. They're urging anyone who's seen or has the video to get in touch. 3 people have been charged with murder and are expected to appear before Leeds Crown Court tomorrow.
A man has been jailed for life for the murder of a 62-year-old woman in a violent attack in Leeds. Colleen Westerman died from her injuries following an attack at an address in Melville Gardens in the Woodhouse area on the 6th of November last year. 57-year-old John Bootland pleaded guilty to her murder and was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 15 years.
A man who murdered a Halifax mother of 4, described by her family as a beautiful soul, has been given a life sentence. 36-year-old Paris Kendall was found unresponsive with serious head injuries in an alleyway off Keighley Road in Illingworth last August. She died at the scene. Her family says she will be remembered for her love and the joy she brought into the world. Paris's boyfriend, 40-year-old Lee Taylor, pleaded guilty to murder and was jailed for 21 years. Well, the ITV Evening News continues at 6:30. Here's a look at what's happening with Mary Nightingale.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, countdown to a moment in history. NASA prepares to send 4 astronauts to fly around the moon. We reveal just how much food prices are forecast to rise because of the Iran war. And Tiger Woods steps away from golf. The superstar seeks treatment after his arrest for driving under the influence. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Certainly will. Mary, thank you. Now, we've all heard the stories, haven't we? New dads like Simon Eggleston from Harrogate forced to use holiday leave just to spend time with their newborn baby.
Yes, congratulations to anyone that has had a newborn baby, but unless you've worked for the company for almost 6 months, well, you won't be entitled to parental leave. But all that is about to change for the better. It's a huge step for many, many families, as Kevin Ashford explains.
Maybe is one of them going to be in bed, or are they all in the kitchen?
When Simon Eggleston from Harrogate became a father 3 years ago, he narrowly missed out on being eligible to take paternity leave because he hadn't been in his job long enough. He had to take annual holiday instead.
Is he going to say where's the I fell literally about 3 or 4 weeks outside of that, which was really, really frustrating. I think making it more normal for the dad to be bringing up that child in a much more shared environment. I think if if the employers and the government can put things in place that allow that, I think it can only be positive for the child's development. Like, there is zero downside to this.
From the 6th of April, new fathers will be able to claim 2 weeks of unpaid paternity leave from day one of being in a job, instead of having to have been employed for 26 weeks. Peter Byrne is an employment law expert.
You can take 1 week a gap, then another week, and then also you can take 2 weeks together, or indeed you can either take 1 week or decide to take none. Lots of people, of course, because it's unpaid, in terms of paternity pay, you have a situation whereby people will often take holidays as opposed to actually taking the leave.
And that lack of paid paternity leave is a big weakness, according to one campaign group, which wants new dads to be eligible for a minimum of 6 weeks paternity leave at 90% of their salary.
We know that 2 in 5 dads currently don't take any statutory paternity leave, and the main reason is affordability. And so the unpaid leave isn't going to solve that. You know, the government have said that 32,000 additional dads per year will take paternity leave. I think that's going to be a lot lower because they haven't added pay to that day one right.
The government told ITV News that the first few weeks of being a parent can be some of the most rewarding and challenging, and it was determined to make sure that dads and partners can be there for as much of it as possible. Meanwhile, there's a full review of parental pay and leave currently being carried out, and the findings are expected by January. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
Now then, they became even more familiar faces thanks to their success on the pitch 6 months ago.
Yes, Scarborough's Zoe Aldcroft and Ellie Kildunn from Keighley. There they are in action, set England's Red Roses on track to an historic Women's World Cup win.
The impact of that victory inspired thousands. The popularity of the game among women, well, it flourished.
And now, as attention turns to the Women's Six Nations later this month, it's hoped that popularity will continue to grow. Here's Hannah Ludlow.
Celebrations after a record-breaking summer. In September last year, the England women's rugby team lifted the World Cup trophy.
It was just, you want to say a pinch me moment, but it wasn't even that. Your hair stood on the back of your neck, the national anthem in the crowd, the stadium, just singing it back at you and you can't even hear your own voice was, yeah, just something very special in itself.
6 months on, a new report shows the tournament certainly made an impact. Almost 450,000 tickets were sold, making it the most watched Women's Rugby World Cup ever. 94% of spectators said they'd go again. 83% of young women and girls felt inspired, and 74% said it motivated them to do more sport.
I think it's so important for us as players to inspire and have a positive impact on communities, grassroots rugby, but also for older people to get down to their local clubs and pick up a ball. And they might not want to do contact, but you've got so many elements of the game that people can get involved in, and the game truly is for anybody.
Among those inspired are players from Scunthorpe Rugby Club.
It's really inspiring because it was a sport where only men could play it, and now, like, the women winning the World Cup's just amazing.
I've seen a massive increase in little girls starting playing rugby. I came to a training session once and there was just so many of them. It was more than I've seen for a long time, so definitely encouraged younger girls to start playing rugby.
I like watching how strong the girls can represent themselves to be. It's quite inspirational to watch because there's not a lot of girls' sports like rugby.
I think we've had it off the back of them actually going to watch games, being inspired by international players and actually thinking, oh, that I could have a go at that.
With the Women's Six Nations just days away, focus now turns to what's next.
We've never come off the back of a World Cup in one of Six Nations before, so we want to back up winning on winning. As a squad, we all come from different walks of life. Like, our journey to where we are now is all very different, and I think that's what makes the women's game so special.
A special game making a lasting impact. Hannah Ludlow, ITV News.
Oh, I just love the idea that there's this whole generation of young girls that are looking up at those red roses and thinking, oh, maybe I'll be there myself at some stage in the future.
It's great, isn't it? Getting youngsters involved.
Exactly. No joke, we're already quarter of the way through the year.
I know, I can't believe it.
Where did that go?
I just can't believe it. And it was a bit disappointing today for the 1st of April. We could have done with a little bit more sunshine, but there was a little slice this evening just coming through before it turns a bit more unsettled overnight tonight. So yeah, we look back at our stats. There wasn't anything overwhelming, to be honest, for March. We definitely didn't have as much rain as we'd had for the start of this year in the winter. Sure. And it was always milder than average, always, when you look at the months. But sunshine, we did okay. This was Sheffield in the sunshine on the right. 150 hours. It was our sunniest spot, so that's 25% more than we'd expect for the time of the year. And the little map on the left is sunniest ranking in our 170 years of data, and South Yorkshire and West Yorkshire were in the top 10. South Yorkshire was the 8th sunniest and West Yorkshire the 9th sunniest, so that'll do, won't it?
Well, we certainly earned it, didn't we, after all that rain over winter?
Yeah, it just felt better, didn't it, with that sunshine. So yes, it's the 1st of April. We're hurtling towards the Easter weekend, which is coming up shortly towards the end of the week. So I thought I'd just explain what our current thoughts are. There's a massive temperature contrast in the States at the moment. It's firing up our jet stream, and we're worried about Saturday. Basically, something called explosive cyclogenesis, or a weather bomb you sometimes read in the newspapers. What it means is a rapidly deepening area of low pressure, and if it does do that, northern and western parts of the UK are going to get some incredibly strong winds and some really wet conditions. For us, it is going to be windy, and I think there could be gusts in excess of maybe 50, 60 Saturday night into Sunday.
Really?
We're still a good few days away, but the positives are there's a lot of dry weather to come. I'll show you this chart. On the right-hand side, you can see the forecast millimetres, and it's for the full 4 days of Easter. And actually, the blue for our patch is less than 10 millimetres of rainfall for the whole of the 4 days. So many places, is what I'm saying, could be dry. And of course, I'll keep you updated.
Please do.
So it's the winds.
OK, that's good news.
Look out for the
dry.
winds. Right. Now, Sir David Attenborough once named Askam Bog near York as a cathedral of nature, and now the Yorkshire Wildlife Trust has launched an appeal to protect and restore it.
Yeah, it's one of the most ecologically diverse sites in the region, and it was the first of 113 reserves. Here's Sarah Clark.
It's a unique habitat and a site of exceptional ecological significance. Just 2 miles from York city centre, Askam Bog is a wild paradise.
We're only 2 miles from the city centre of York, but there's an incredible array of rare species here. We've got around 8% of all the plant species found in the UK are in this small spot on the edge of the city of York. And by having the rare plant species here, we can then have even rarer species of moth and bird come here. We've got willow tits here, we've got water voles, great crested newts, over 400 species of moth.
And helping them thrive is the charity's dedicated team of volunteers.
We maintain the meadows, so then you have the wildlife and the butterflies and the plants that like meadows. We maintain the trees and the woodlands so that you have the different levels of woodland that different birds like, because actually they're quite fussy. Some like low-level canopies and some like high-level canopies. So we do that to try and help them, to maintain them for everyone to enjoy.
Including natural historian Sir David Attenborough, who visited the site a decade ago.
I would say that this is a great treasure, which has luckily been preserved until our time by visionary citizens of York. And it's up to the present generation to see that that treasure and that legacy is protected and passed on to the next generation, because it is truly a remarkable part of the landscape and an irreplaceable one.
To ensure the continued resilience of this ancient peatland, the charity has launched the Askam Bog Protection Fund.
That's going to help us be able to protect the bog going forwards against the challenges and pressures that could come at us from climate change, from development going on around us. It's real good to have this next to a city. You can think of it as a big sponge. If we were to let it go back to being a wet woodland, which it would do very quickly, we'd lose that peat and the chance to secure some carbon, and it wouldn't be the rare habitat which it is. So this is where some of the big problems are happening. The beams underneath the top boards are failing.
Work to improve accessibility has also begun, ready for the bog's reopening in July.
How nice is it to actually work somewhere that you know people will appreciate?
Spending so much time and energy into a place, it's always appreciated when, you know, it brings out so much beauty like this. And maintaining such a historic area of beauty, it means the world. You know, it really means the world. It's just an amazing, amazing space. The fact that I can give back to nature and leave a little bit of a legacy behind, it really does mean a lot.
The charity hopes their appeal will preserve one of Yorkshire's rarest natural spaces for future generations. Sarah Clark, ITV News, York.
Oh, just seeing Sarah there makes you want to get outside.
I know. Well, beautiful day there at Askam Bog. And actually, when it comes to seals of approval, it doesn't come much better than David Attenborough, does it?
No, Sir David.
Anyway,
let's go to Kerry.
A clear start makes way for a day of ancient discoveries. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello again. Yes, today not quite as nice as yesterday's warm and sunny one, but at least we stayed dry despite quite a lot of cloud. And yes, continuing with that cool and breezy weather, especially over higher ground. As we head closer towards the weekend, windy is the weather word, drier and brighter spells most likely on the Sunday and bank holiday Monday. Rain or showers most likely at this stage on the Friday and the Saturday. For today, we do have a weather front coming through for this evening and the first part of the night. It tends to fizzle out, so it produces quite a lot of cloud initially and some showery outbreaks. But as we head towards the early hours, there will be some clearer spells, particularly over North and West Yorkshire, where we'll see a touch of frost, but a little bit more of a breeze, a keen cold breeze out towards the coast, with maybe some showers feeding down the coastline towards tomorrow morning. So there is sometimes as we head into Thursday, 6:38 and 7:43. So yes, a few rogue showers out towards the coast, a cold breeze here first thing. Elsewhere, a much better day in terms of sunshine tomorrow. Some sunny spells for the morning, maybe bright or hazy into the afternoon, but a big dip in temperatures, more like the average, to be honest, for the time of year, for early April, 9 or 10 Celsius, and the winds remaining light. And then as we head into Friday, several fronts coming in from the northwest. So a very blustery day, a very showery day. Some of those showers will be fairly intense and heavy. Despite that, mild temperatures 13 or 14. Rain at times as we head through into Saturday. Sunshine and scattered showers. Those very strong winds into early Sunday. And then hopefully a bit of an improvement.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
And Easter's come early in Greenhill, South Yorkshire. I don't know if you remember Peter Garrity's Otis and Lucy. Whoa, look at that. First egg of the season. We followed them last year. Looks amazing, doesn't it?
Happy Easter, everybody. That's it. Good night.